Hello, my name is James Hunter, and this is my 2 cents channel where I talk about topics from physical fitness, mental health, wellness topics, and just topics I may be interested in discussing. And today I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about periodization, systematic variation of exercise selection, your program, what type of routines you're doing, mixing it up in order to try to, produce results or continue to get results from your training. So I'm going to talk about some of those things and more specifically about different types of training approaches. Now, I'm 48 and a half years old, be 49 here coming the spring next year before too long. So I've been lifting weights since I was about 12 and a half, about 12 going on 13, at least 35 years. And I got to be honest, I've competed in bodybuilding earlier this year, in June 22nd. I did pretty good. And I've been competing, periodically in bodybuilding contests in my 40s since I've been in this decade of the 40s, if you will. So I've also done some powerlifting meets and so on. So I continue to challenge myself. And now there's a lot to be said of, my observations having, trained in a lot of gyms over the years and just from a review of literature and just reading the research that's out there in terms of muscle hypertrophy and just, what variables go into effect, not just, what type of a body composition, muscularity you can produce, but performance, strength in different sports and so on. So the reality is, a lot of things play into it. Genetics has a, let's be honest, genetics plays a big role in it. Some people are just, rapid responders. You could give them any number of training programs, type of routines, and they're just going to get good results. Yeah, they got to eat right and so on and apply the other things that matter too. And I'm not, you can talk about supplements and drugs and things like that. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just going to talk about some training concepts. So bone structure, with me, I'm considered medium bone. And, if I'm completely honest, my bone structure helps me a lot, with, my symmetry. I have a small waist, and I've always had a small waist and a wide shoulder ratio. And, so that helps me. Of course it does. I'm not going to say that, I didn't do anything from a training approach to get my bone structure. That's God given. But what I've done throughout my life of training, I guess you can call it getting lazy and so on. But, I would be a kind of like a 6 to 8 rep guy with a heavier weight that I could tolerate for 6 to 8 reps. And then I would progress in my sets, and then I would be going from 8 to 12 rep range with heavier weights. And I wouldn't rest too long, but my rest, it'd be enough to get ready to do the next set. And I would get, a good number of sets out of each exercise. I would incorporate compound sets, supersets, and so on. So those are like my bread and butter go-to moves. And then I may have like a final set where I'm just going to rep it out. I may get 20 reps or something to that effect. And I incorporate doing circuits sometimes if I just need to get in a workout because time is limited. I'll pick the exercises I'm going to do. For example, I did back and biceps today, and I just turned it into a circuit. Had my seated row. I used a plate-loaded row machine, a high lat row pull-down with a cable machine. I used well, it's kind of like a rear delt machine, but really, it gets your rhomboids in the back, your upper back. So I did that, and then the biceps, and I just ran through it, a good 5, 6 laps on that without stopping and resting. Gave me a really good workout. Now, if I had more time, yeah, I would go do heavy dumbbell rows. I love doing rows, whether it be the dumbbells or barbell row, and then I would then go do my high row lat pull down and so on, and you get the idea. So my approach towards training, it hasn't been too fancy, but I've been able to get in good shape, maintain some muscle, and become muscular, and do good in a bodybuilding contest. Now, is that the best I probably could do? In all honesty, no. I'm not a lazy person. I work out pretty hard, but I think that I've just kind of taken for granted that, you kind of thinking that, well, I train well enough. The reality is, when I was younger, in my early 20s, there was it's called Cybergenics. It was a training program that came out, these supplements you could buy. And it was, supersets, but a lot of volume, a lot of reps. You can talk about German volume training, doing the 10 sets of 10 with a minimal rest. About 60 seconds rest is what I shoot for when I have done it in the past. But then I kind of forgot about that type of stuff. But I got to tell you something. I recently started doing 10 sets of 10 reps, maybe 10 to 12 reps, and no more than 60 seconds. I have my iPhone there, and I'll have my timer. When that 60 seconds goes off, I stop the timer, immediately get under my bar, and I get the set going. And I increase the weight with each set to what I can tolerate, barely tolerate, to get that 10th rep. For those last 3 to 4 reps are hard. And so I've been getting my conditioning up for this approach, to where these 10 sets of 10 of 60 seconds rest is very intense. I get a hell of a pump. Now, when I've done my squat routines in the past, I would rest more, so it'd be nothing to do 10 reps of 225 pounds. I don't wear a belt for that. To me, it's not that heavy. I'm talking deep squats. And, I would get up to working sets of 315 pounds for 5 reps, weighing 160 pounds. That's decent weight for, 48 and a half year old guy, or any guy for any age that matter. So the point is, when I started doing these higher volume ranges in terms of the sets, repetitions of short, 60 seconds or less between each set, you think that's easy. Well, give it a shot, and I guarantee you, after that 5th set, you're thinking, I got 5 more sets to go. You're not, resting more than that 60 seconds. It's cumulative in terms of how the intensity starts to build. My skin starts getting real tight. My quads start pumping up. I feel like my legs are going to explode, but like in a good way. I recently started doing this a month, about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I incorporated the 10 sets of 10 with the squat. And what I found is that, it doesn't take as much weight when you're doing it that way to get a hell of a pump, to get the intensity and produce that type of soreness in your legs. It's a different type of situation, different type of conditioning. Now that my conditioning, and I'm adjusting to that, I'm able to tolerate more rep for that type of workout. So yeah, each workout I have been adding more weight on the squat for this exercise. So it's like a reminder to myself, sometimes you gotta mix it up. It's not always about, trying to bang out heavier weight for what you can do so you can feel good about yourself and be able to hold your own, if you will. I know sometimes, on back day, I want to grab the 140 pound, 150 pound dumbbell and knock out some reps with it, which I can do. But is it necessary for me to have that approach every week when I train back? It's okay to lighten the loads a bit and do a different concept for training. How many reps can I do for a minute without stopping? Controlled reps, doing the 10 sets of 10 and so on. So what I've been doing the 10 sets of 10 for each muscle group. So when I do chest day, I'll pick a chest exercise, and I'm going to put significant weights that's significant enough to be challenging. I'm going to get those 10 sets of 10. Now after that, am I going to do 10 sets of 10 with each exercise? No, not at this point. I'm not doing that. But I will pick the largest compound or multi-joint movement. If it's leg day, it's going to be the squat. So on the squat, 10 sets of 10. I might even, depending on how I feel after that, I might carry that over to the leg press and so on. Maybe RDL lunges or something like that as my conditioning improves. But what I will say is that when I started doing this again, like with other workouts, when you get in a good workout, you'll have what I call the good sore, and you'll have like that pump for a couple of days in the legs. Well, with these 10 sets of 10, this higher volume, it's like I had like a freaking pump for the whole week. My legs felt like really good. And there's something to be said about post potentiation activation. As far as a few days after having a good squat workout, you just have a lot of, you can jump higher, you feel more explosive, if you will. There's studies on that. So anyways, mixing it up and doing something different, I'm feeling the benefit of it, and I'm really excited for this next year that's coming up. I believe I'm going to be able to get in the best shape I've been in a very long time. Every time I compete, I improve. But this higher rep range, the volume, the shortening the rest periods with the higher intensity, I believe it's going to make a difference. I'm even going to talk about in a video this week about pre-exhaustion training and how that has an effect on muscle hypertrophy as far as what the literature says, the studies. And I'm also going to talk about training to failure. And so this boils down to training techniques. It's nothing new about them. They've been around. I mean, Joe Eater talked about pre-exhaustion in his magazines. And so incorporate these things that have been around and not getting complacent and getting comfortable with, well, it's my typical split routine. I've been doing it forever. So yeah, you kind of get complacent and you'll go to the gym, you do your workout. Yeah, you get a pump, you feel good, and then you go home and it's business as usual. So getting comfortable sometimes, and I'm guilty of that. I think I really have, while I have adjusted my training each year, I'll get back into my deadlifts again and get my condition in there, bring my strength up to where I feel good about it again. And I do things to kind of refocus, but I really haven't, done things in a while like this higher volume training and pre-exhaustion, these types of concepts. And I'm going to be doing some videos in terms of, how much I'm going to, as far as my progress and improvements. Now, earlier this year, if you look at my playlist, bodybuilding, I guess current and past videos, you'll see some videos of my progress as I got pretty ripped this year. You'll see my video where I talk about how I did in the contest. And you'll even see videos from the past when I've competed. But most recently, you'll see my journey earlier this year when I competed June 22nd in the MPC Battle on the Bay in Corpus Christi. So this situation going into the next year, I'll be doing the same thing. But what I'll do different this time is I'm going to talk about my training, how it's going to be different than what I did this time around. I think I definitely can do a better job. I think I can improve my physique a lot by incorporating the volume I talked about, some of these concepts like pre-exhaustion, and just my intensity. I think I can do a better job at that as far as, what I mentioned, periodization earlier in the video, mixing it up systematically and just changing things. Now, am I going to train a particular way like that 12 months out of the year? No. I may, go 6 weeks, hardcore, a particular way. It's whether it's, how I'm arranging the workouts within these systems, and then kind of not necessarily reboot completely, but maybe shift the routine a bit and the order selection, the exercises, and so on for the next 6 weeks, and then just kind of rotate it, and that way I continue to see what kind of results I'm going to get. So I'm excited to see what kind of shape I'm going to get into next year, and I'm actually further ahead this time, December 10th, than I was this time last year. Last year, this time I was actually almost 20 pounds heavier. I don't consider myself I wasn't like a fat guy, but I was a bit bulkier. There's actually a video of me on my channel where I'm vertical jumping to close to about 4 feet on the plyometric boxes, and I have a beard on and everything, and even though I was about 20 pounds heavier, I was still jumping pretty high. But I went into my my training mode, or getting ready to start prepping and everything, about 20 pounds heavier this time last year, and now I'm about 160 where I'm at right now. Well, I'm about 158, 161, and it depends on the time of the day. But I'm not necessarily smaller. I mean, as far as my measurements, muscularity, and so on, not too far off. I definitely can get bigger. But the good thing is I have less body fat to lose. I had more, I guess, around the waist that I had to get rid of last year, and I didn't have any issue with that. So I'm actually looking at kind of like people call it a lean bulk. I'll kind of just, get bigger while maintaining some leanness, and then start cutting it back as I get closer to the contest. So I don't want to go on too long. This video is almost 15 minutes. So you can look for that this week. For those of y'all who watch my channel, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I'm going to be putting a video about pre-exhaustion training, and also training to failure. What does the literature say as far as studies? Not just my opinion, but there's actually research that's been done on this stuff. So I'll be putting some videos out on that. And, just like I said earlier in the video, I think sometimes those of us who've been working out a long time, you older guys, and we kind of get complacent, and I'm guilty of that myself. And I've come to realize, I can do a better job. And I have to say, the gym I'm working out at now, it's probably one of the last old school gyms around where I live in South Texas. And the gym owner, he started competing in his 60s, and he had done it when he was younger. So, anyways, he about a month ago, he said, "Hey, do you want to do leg day with me?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll do leg day with you," and why not? So, and I train people out of his gym, my clients, for personal training. So the point is, the day before, I had done a heavy back and bicep workout, and I'd been doing my heavier workouts. So when I went to do legs with him that day, we did the 10 sets of 10. And I was familiar with those type of workouts. So I put on the bar like I normally would for one of my workouts. And he goes, "Well, you may not want to put that much weight. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I was being open-minded. And so I, started with a bit less. And I understood why, as the sets progressed and went on, we weren't resting very much. So that type of, doing something different is the point. Sometimes doing something different or something you haven't done in a long time, to remind yourself there's different ways for different days. And I really think I'm going to get in the best shape of my life for next year's competitions. So that's one of my goals as far as the bodybuilding contest again. And I also want to do a powerlifting meet. So if you've got any goals yourself, for those of you who are watching this video, drop them in the comments below. What are some of your fitness goals for next year? It doesn't have to be powerlifting or bodybuilding. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Maybe it's running a 5K, a marathon, trail running. Maybe it's swimming, something, gymnastics. Everybody doesn't have the exact same type of pursuits or passions for fitness. There's a lot of different things. So maybe you got something for next year. I want to hear from you. What do you want to accomplish next year? What are you excited about? What are you trying different? Or what are you maybe going to try different with your training? Something that either you haven't done in a long time, or maybe you've become open-minded because you talk to other people in the gym and just started considering that perhaps there are other ways and maybe you can do better. Until I make another video, take care, have a nice day, and look for my video either tomorrow or the next day for sure on pre-exhaustion training. Thank you.